All right, welcome everybody to another Age of Radio Mercury, your home for podcasting and pop culture news. We are live at Foundry Fest in Phoenix at the Foundry Hotel, which if you are in the Phoenix area, I keep telling you, come down, I'll buy you a beer. I can maybe talk Ryan into buying you a beer as well, as it's his event too. I don't know if he likes saying that.
You're writing checks. I don't know if you can cash.
You come down here, I will buy you beer. I promise. In fact, next year I'll do a whole promotional event for it and see if we can get some more people down here as well. And I just want to double check, Joey, is the audio coming through on the live good? Yeah, we should be. All right. I'm sitting down with Ryan, the founder of Arizona Comic Book Arts Fest, and he's also, I guess, the founder of Foundry Fest then too. I would imagine as well. Correct?
Yeah, I don't know if. Yeah, it's a subdivision of the Arizona Comic Book Arts Festival. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So thank you for sitting down and spending the time with me. I see that you have your Pabst Blue Ribbon. Is that your favorite beer that's here?
No, it's the favorite beer that's here that I didn't pay for.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's what makes it really good.
That's right.
Yeah, so maybe he won't buy you beer because he's not buying his own beer either. All right, well, Ryan, thank you so much for sitting down with me. I'd like to talk a little bit about AZ Comic Book Arts Fest. I had a booth with Joey from the Geek Collective at the AZ Comic Books Art Fest. Was it in February this year? Next year it's in February.
Next year it's February. This year was March.
Okay, March. Right. And that was really cool because you had Kevin Eastman there.
Right.
That was a really fun event. It was down at the Shriners Auditorium.
Yep.
They tried to recruit me to the Freemasons, one of the people that were at the bar. Yeah.
They're always looking for young new members.
Yeah, right. I don't know if I count as a young new member though, but maybe to them.
At that place you do.
Yeah, it's a good point. To them, definitely a young new member. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how you came up with doing the event itself, how Foundry Fest came about. But first, I'd love to. You had mentioned that you've been in the comic book industry since 2006, prior to us starting this live stream. So I'd love to hear about your background, if it was in arts, if it was in comic books, and how you got into the industry and what that career has looked like over these last almost 20 years.
Yeah. I always wanted to draw comics. I grew up loving comics, like a lot of kids. And then after high school, it just didn't, I sent out my portfolio. Nothing really took off. And then so I kind of got out of comics for a little bit. And then I went to art school in 2001. And that's kind of when I rediscovered comics. It was Powers. It was Bendis and Oming's Powers book.
Nice.
They're really kind of like, comics aren't just Jim Lee books anymore. Now there's like this whole other style.
Yeah.
And so I was really getting into that. And then I was going to art school for animation, and it kind of all just teed back up, and I was like, oh. And also, now it was easier. There's message boards. When I was first trying to get into comics, there was none of that. There's nothing online. So early 2000s, there was all, message boards, and you could post your artwork, and a guy who drew a comic you've heard about would comment.
Yeah.
And so you're able to meet collaborators in other states and whatever. And so I met a guy who wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an artist. We pitched a book. That book didn't work out, but because I was working and posting about pitching that book, another writer contacted me. We pitched a book together, and that one did get picked up. And so
that's awesome. What was the book?
It was called Villains.
Okay.
And it was through Viper Comics, which hasn't been a publisher, I don't think, for a decade or more. That my first book was a creator-owned book called Villains. And then from there, I started doing other small jobs for indie comics. And then it's been 20 years of just doing small jobs for mostly indie comics.
So the small jobs with indie comics, is that how you made your living, or do you do something else to supplement that as well?
So from 2011 until last year, I was solely freelance comic books. And so you just take a job, someone pays you, you do the work. I was lucky enough to color a book with Phil Hester at Image Comics.
Nice.
That led to doing coloring work at DC Comics.
Wow.
So I mostly color now.
Although I really like Image Comics, maybe even more than DC.
Right.
Yeah, but still, DC is a bigger name.
I agree. I was the last few years, I've been mostly a colorist, and now I have a job in graphic design for a company. But I still put out my own work, and then
Yeah.
I focus on like these events for ASCAF and stuff like that.
Yeah. What do you think, before we jump into ASCAF, what do you think has been like one of the biggest changes that you've seen being in the industry for 20 years as it relates to independent content creators?
I think it's never been easier to put out a book.
Okay.
It's never been harder to sustain an audience.
That's
And
yeah, I would agree
and
with
my other, because there's so much out there now.
yeah.
And my other hot take is that colorists are the new inkers. Like colorists
Okay.
are, you have your writer, you have your artist who's almost always the same penciler and inker. But I think colorists now can do so much that
Yeah.
that's really a major selling point for books now, where I don't think it used to be, and I don't think I don't really know if there's a future for people who just want to ink comics anymore.
Okay.
I think you either have to be able to pencil and ink,
Okay.
or do the whole thing yourself.
Got it.
And I think I'm the next to go. Like we're the next dinosaur to go extinct is colorists, because
Well,
people who only color, I should say.
yeah.
I also pencil, ink, and color, but for other people, I only color.
Okay.
And I think that specialty is going to go away. I think everyone will just be able to do everything.
Got it. So it'll be one person that
Yeah.
you get that does the
For sure.
entire thing.
Yep.
So you find an inker or a letterer, and they can also do the coloring.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. What is so? How did you come about? How long has AZ the comic book festival been out? Like, how long have you? When did you start doing it? How did that come to you? Did you think that there was something missing in the space, and you were trying to fulfill that, or what did that look like when you decided to start this?
Yeah, so when I first became full-time freelance, I also moved to Flagstaff. And around the same time, another big local chain of comics, Atomic Comics, they used to be in the Valley, they closed down around the same time. And Atomic Comics used to always have like big blowout free comic book day events
Yeah, I
where they
remember
would
that.
bring creators in
Yeah.
from out of state and stuff like that.
Yep.
So then there was kind of I felt there was a vacuum for that when they left, and so I started running a show in conjunction with Samurai Comics, where I would arrange for guests to come out. Samurai was a partner in that, and so every May we would have one or two people fly out, and then I'd get as many locals as I could. The best local creators. There's a huge amount of very talented and prolific creators in the Phoenix area that make comics. So I'd get them all together for Free Comic Book Day, and we were doing that. And then
And what year was this?
this was probably like 2012.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So for about a decade, I ran Free Comic Book Day events at
That's awesome.
with Samurai Comics.
Nice.
And then I moved back to the Valley maybe right around COVID, the end of COVID.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, maybe it's finally time that I look into like putting on an event. Because to go back to an earlier thing you said, yeah, it was a reaction to how Phoenix Fan Fusion and a lot of the other big conventions were getting more away from comics and more into media.
Right.
They would rather have a voice actor for the 15th best show somewhere than have like an amazing comic creator, right? And I get
Yeah.
it. Financially, that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Excuse me.
No, you're good.
And so I was like, well, I'm happy to put on a much smaller event, but that just focuses on this.
Yeah.
And so like our event is, 1/100th the size of Phoenix Fan Fusion,
Yeah.
but it's 100 tables. Not this event, the main event.
No, I know.
Yeah. It's like-
I knew what you were saying. I was debating on if I want. We started this thing called the Concam that's running from that iPhone
Oh,
17.
okay.
I was debating on throwing that up right now, but I know that you're talking about the
No,
other
it's
event,
fine, yeah.
which this is just a room. The
Yes.
other event is like
Yeah.
I don't know, much bigger than this.
Yeah, so we have our main event that we have in the spring, February or March this year, it'll be February 28th, is at a 100 table venue.
Yep.
So we're allowed. Everyone who's at a table at our event is either a comic book creator, someone who sells comic books, or an illustrator.
Yep.
Like we don't have, cosplay booths. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We don't have media guests.
Right, because
It's all comics.
To your point, Tucson Comic Con, if I'm not mistaken, Tucson Comic Con's new thing is Pop Culture Fest or something. It doesn't. I think it's Tucson. It's called Tucson Comic Con, a Pop Culture Fest or something
Yeah,
along those
and
lines.
that's fine, and that's how you make money.
Correct. Yeah, which makes sense.
Obviously, if I wanted to make money, I would not have started a comic book festival that focused only on comics and comic creators. But that's what I did.
Yep.
That was 3.5 years ago. Was our
Got
first
it.
was our first event. We're coming up on our fourth event in February. But to get back to everything else, that's why we're here today. Is this event
Yeah.
is a pop-up event to promote our February event, and also the money we raised by putting on this event helps me fly out the national guests that we booked for our main event.
Right, so
Because we don't have a ton of money saved up. We're not like San Diego Comic-Con or whatever, where we can afford tons of. So we have to be very careful about who we bring out and how we pay for that. And so this is kind of a fundraising event for that.
Yeah, so this started out when Joey, who is my business partner for Geek Collective and has been part of helping with Age of Radio for many years, he brought me to this last year, and we just had our Geek Collective booth, and that's kind of where I got the idea to start doing these types of interviews at events and things like that. My main focus was to figure out how to do this year more like this, and get people over to sit down and talk, and so this was Comics and Cocktails last year.
Yeah.
And so now it's Foundry Fest, still at the same place at the Foundry.
It's essentially the same event.
Correct.
One, because it took place at night, and I always thought it'd be fun to have like a swanky, jazzy kind of comic event. So that's why we did Cocktails and Comics.
To be honest with you, that's actually how it felt last year when I was here.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily have that same feeling today.
Yes, and it's because people that I work with, when I put on events, they're like, oh no, they want to do it during the day.
Yeah. Which I can understand that too, which I was concerned too. It was raining today.
Yeah.
And I was like, are people going to come at 11 o'clock and drink at this place?
That's the whole thing. It kind of loses the cocktail vibe.
Yeah.
Con.
But do you think that moving forward, for this pop-up event here at Foundry, you think you'll still have it moving during the day like this, or will you push back to have it at night?
Yeah,
or what are your thoughts on that?
It'll have to feel. I want to make sure that people come to the events. I feel a very strong feeling that I'm responsible for how people do the events that I promote.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's not super
I'm
healthy.
not saying that it is your responsibility,
Right.
but I can understand
I feel
why
that,
you
right.
feel that 100%.
So a lot of it is feedback. Did
Yeah.
people who did both events? There's probably about, I don't know, a third of the vendors here were here last year. So was it better for you if it was during the day, or was it better at night?
Right. You get some information.
Yeah. So you kind of do the math and see what's going on, because
Yeah, so before we talk about the big event that's going to be in February, or the bigger event in February, do you plan on having more of these types of pop-ups other than just this one? Like, do you foresee in the future that you're like, we're going to start a secondary pop-up that we're going to do to bring people out to then either raise money to get other guests, or just to give opportunity to people to come and sell their stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. When we talk about things, we're like, oh yeah, we'll do an event every 4 months, and they'll all be geared towards promoting the big event. But promoting which to me this is a pretty small event.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's tiny. Even promoting this took a ton of work. So now if you're like, then I become a full-time promoter.
Correct. That's what I was going to say.
And this doesn't pay full-time promoter money.
Right.
But I do like these kind of events, and vendors. They love to set up. They want to showcase their work. They want to talk to people about their work. So you're always going to be able to find the vendors to fill your event. But then at one point, do we start watering everything down so much that it's like, then it's just nothing. There's nothing special. Like in my mind, I would love for my events to feel different than other events.
Yeah.
And if we start watering those down or forcing those, I don't know if that'll be the case.
Right. Because then it's kind of like, okay, well, we know that they're doing 4 of them a year. They're kind of very similar. Then what makes one of them special as opposed to the other one? And
even for this event today, I did not there's a group of X amount of local creators who do work for Marvel, DC, Image, just amazing cartoonists and artists in the Valley, and I actually did not send an email to all of them about this event, because I was like, I don't want to showcase all of you here, because I want to sell this is a free event.
Right.
I got a venue to pay for.
Yeah.
So I want to sell tickets to the February event. So not everyone was like, oh, you want to come out and set up?
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to overextend their value to the local community.
Yeah.
And that's just being selfish, because they're valuable no matter what. But my value that they bring.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Why would someone pay, to go to my show in February when they can see 50% of the people there here?
Right. Yeah.
For free. So it's a thing, kind of like a different. I almost got to curate them differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's also still a business that at least has to break even in some capacity.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Right?
My goal is to just not lose money, and I'm thrilled. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I worked in comics, so I know there's no money to be made.
Yeah.
I just don't want to lose money.
Yeah. So that brings up an interesting point about that. Why do you think that that's the case, that there isn't money to be made? You would think that, like, there's all these people. Is it just because there's do you think it's too much? All of it's going to the the bigger publishers,
Yeah.
like DC. Do they kind of squeeze out, making it more difficult for people to get into the industry to make money? Like, because it seems to me like with all the stuff that's out there, that you could kind of, I mean, you've made a living doing freelance work, but like, what do you think prevents, like, something like, I don't know, we have Inversion over here, or Mark the Kings, or any of Austin's stuff? What do you think, like, what do you think prevents those things from, like, really taking off and being big? Is it marketing on their perspective, or because I hear that a lot from a lot of the people that I'm talking to? There's not a lot of money to be made in this, but everybody still goes out and does it.
Yeah, it's I think especially indie books. I do think the big two, and when I say the big two, I mostly mean like the movies and stuff like that. Those suck up so much pop culture dollars that geeks don't want to spend a ton of money on comics.
Yeah.
And so an indie hit like Walking Dead or something like that, that's so rare.
Right.
That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be the next Hellboy or the next Walking Dead. But that's so rare to hit, and I think a lot of it is just you gotta market smartly, and once you have a publisher that cares about you, then you gotta market massively. And I think a lot of people just can't afford to market like
the way that they
need to. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was able to make a living, but I wasn't thriving, in comics, and I don't know many creators who are thriving in comics, but I know that the trade-off of like creating your own stuff, being your own boss.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you think it was worth it?
Yeah.
Would you think that trade-off was worth it because of what you had just said?
Yeah.
Being your own boss and creating your own stuff.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that is totally worth it.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you for sharing that, Ryan. So the other thing, does Foundry give you the space? They because they're like, I guess, the main sponsor of it, I guess, they give you the space for free, or do you still have to rent the space out?
No.
And if you don't want to share, you don't have to.
That's
I'm just
fine.
curious.
No. Foundry Fest is our hospitality partner. So when we fly guests in for our spring event, they stay here. They enjoy all the great things the Foundry has to offer. This is just a way for us to try to give back to them. Like, we get the ballroom. They help us, again, because it's all a fundraising thing. But then food and alcohol sales, that's all for the Foundry. So it's kind of a good partnership, I think. And
so far,
it's for myself. It's a great
for you,
partnership.
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
all right.
It's awesome. But we want to. He's hosting our guests for us. We want to do something for him as well for the hotel. And so this is a way where we can put on an event at the hotel and hopefully get a different kind of crowd in here that would normally come to have drinks or whatever, hang out at the hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ryan. So so a few more questions. Let's talk about what's happening in February. So Arizona Comic Book Arts Festival is going to be February 28th.
That's correct.
Yep. So who do you have coming into that? What's like the big guest that's coming into that? What can people expect when they get there? And real quick before you answer that, anybody who's watching this now or before February 28th, if you're watching this where you can scan this QR code, go ahead and scan that. It'll take you over to the website so you can, the tickets are available to buy now, or they will be soon.
They're available now.
Yeah, you can go buy them right now to get your badges for the event as well. In fact, I think I'm supposed to, if I remember correctly, Joey said that he has to pay you for his table for Geek Collective, and he's like, "Did you get a bill yet?" I was like, "I don't even think I submitted yet." So I gotta get my stuff together.
That's a Monday thing for me.
Yeah,
I'll worry about that later.
But anyway, so who's coming to who do you have as guests for the event this year?
All right, so again, we're gonna have most of the local guests that are amazing: John Layman, Scott Gedleski, Meredith McLaren, Jay Gonzo, people who've done work for Marvel, DC, Image. Hopefully they're always going to support our show. We want to support them. Our national guests, we were blessed to get Jaime Hernandez, co-creator of Love and Rockets this year. He doesn't do a lot of shows. I don't even know if he's ever done a show in Arizona. So we're super excited to have Jaime here. Katie Skelly's going to be here, like an indie comics queen. Maria Wolf, who's an amazing cover artist.
That's awesome.
We just announced her. Phil Hester, who's near and dear to my heart.
Nice.
Phil was the first guest we announced, and he was the easiest guest I've ever gotten. We were talking about something else, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing on February 28th?"
And he's like, "Yeah, I'll come."
Yeah. So
awesome.
it was great. So yeah, those are our announced guests so far. We're going to keep announcing guests. I think we have one or two other national guests I haven't announced yet, but and then we also just get, the other 70% of the tables are going to be amazing indie creators, people who sell comics, stores who have back issues, key issues for sale.
Yep.
I was telling people when they come into the event today, it's like this, but like 3.5 times bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great last year. I had a blast at it last year. Hopefully get a table this year. We'll do some setups like this, interview some people, really push it, and then we can promote it as much as we can on the show, because our goal is to help things like this thrive and allow content creators to share their stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so Ryan, I appreciate your time today. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to anybody that's live on this now or that might be seeing it in the future? And where can they find you guys on social media?
Yeah, that's a question for up there.
Yeah, it's AZ Comics Arts Fest. It's on the screen.
Yes.
So we'll kill that one.
Yeah, you can also, if you just Google the Arizona Comic Book Arts Festival, it's the only one that's out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just encourage people, if they pretty sure they want to come out, they want to meet Jaime or Phil or Katie or Maria or any of our other guests, get your tickets in advance. They go up in price before the event, so they're never going to be cheaper than they are right now. And the more tickets we sell leading up to the event, the less stressed out I am at the event.
Okay, so let's work to make Ryan less stressed.
Do this all for me.
Because if you guys follow me on some of my other content at Age of Jeremy, I do own a business called 3T Warrior Academy, and we put out a conference every year called the Freedom Conference at our place that's in Mesa, Arizona, for a different business that I have. And conferences can be very stressful, and ours is stressful, and Dustin usually does most of the tech work, and I hardly do anything, and it's still stressful for me, so I can only imagine what it is for you, being the one that's actually doing the stuff at the thing, and that is much bigger than our conference that we have. So everybody that's out there, go and support Ryan and AZ Comics Arts Fest, and thank you so much for coming and having this conversation.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I only have an hour left. This thing ends at 4 o'clock. We're coming up on 3 o'clock. I'm going to do maybe some short interviews with individuals here in a little bit, and then I'll try to take the iPhone around to everybody and ask them some quickly about the what they're selling at their booth and the stuff that they actually create. So again, my name is Jeremy, the host of Mercury, your home for podcasting and other pop culture news. And as I always say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll talk with you guys soon. Bye.